I don't know where this dirty
what's up, all my
road's taking
YouTube
me.
maniacs out there?
Sometimes I don't even know
If you
the
would be so
reason
kind as
why.
to smash that subscribe button, ding that notification bell, and hit the like button, the thumbs up. It's not that hard. Just punch that subscribe button right in the face. So where did we leave off last chapter? Last chapter was just kind of an intro, Chicago to Monterey. You know what I was doing here and how I took off for Monterey. I think I deleted the video about me and the Billy Foster Christmas. That one was a little bit too graphic. But, you know, I went ahead and made notes on the third chapter on Microsoft Office OneNote, but I can't, you know, I can't double up the screen, so I had to kind of write some of this stuff down. But, so after I got down there, and the second time, I had came back to Chicago after the first time because I was waiting on a settlement. So I got my settlement, bought a Camaro, a 89 Z20, 89 IROC or something like that. Drove that thing till the tires fell off. I mean, seriously. I mean, I was such a scumbag. I was driving this thing with a pair of needle nose pliers jammed in the ignition to where I could grab this little thing in the back and turn it and turn the car over. And I had to get under the hood and connect these wires and hot wire these wires together, jam these needle nose pliers in there and start the car. And it was a total wreck. I had caught a case while I was in Chicago for possession of a stolen motor vehicle. So they had given me house arrest. And I told my dad on house arrest from the county jail, look it. I was in Division 1, so I would be out on the yard every day looking at the wall. And I knew on the other side of the wall with the flex wire and the razor wire was 26th Street. The only thing that was separating me from freedom was that wall. So they came at me with house arrest. I called my dad. I said, Dad, listen, just get me on the other side of this wall and we'll work something out. He didn't really want to go for it, but you know, at the end, he was, you know, he's my dad. He was always there for me. He was always a good guy and one of the best influences in my life. So he got me out. He got me home to out of the county. So I immediately started packing my stuff to go back down to Mexico, you know, and I was leaving that morning before he left for work. So, one of the very few times in my life I've seen my old man cry, and he wasn't fully crying, but I could notice, you know, you hear the lump in the throat and you see the eyes getting red. And he said, listen, man, I hope I see you here when I get back from work. Whatever you did, we'll hire a lawyer. We'll get you out of trouble. But at that age, I'm 18. So, you know, when you're that age, your whole goal in life, from the time you wake up in the morning and all day, the whole goal is getting pussy, getting as drunk and getting as high as you can, just partying as much as you can. And everything I did was in pursuit of tail, was in pursuit of women, pretty women, good looking women. So that was my whole life. Sex and drugs and rock and roll, you know what I mean? So I ended up scooting back down to Mexico, hooked up with my guy Billy Foster, and you know, my uncles really hated my guts at this time. They were trying to get the Policia Judicial Federal. That's like the federal judicial police. They're trying to get rid of me, paying them off to try and get rid of me, whatever, to get me out of town. So I'm spending a lot of time with my cousin Angelica, and she's about 17, 18, and she is smoking hot, banging body. I mean, just like I like them. Straight, dark hair, dark eyes, with that skin the color of coffee, with a lot of cream, with a lot of milk, just that cinnamon, canela, just that morenita color. That it's not dark brown, it's real light brown. You know what I'm talking about when you see a fine ass Mexican girl with the long straight hair, the dark eyes, the body, everything. She was banging. So I'm hanging out with her. She's taking me to parties, and we're running amok. And she introduces me to one of her good friends, Carina. Now, Carina lives in down there. They don't call, like, over here we have neighborhoods like Uptown, Ukrainian Village, Chatham, Inglewood, Humboldt Park. We have neighborhoods like that. Over there, they call them colonias. So Carina lived in a colonia that was called San Nicolás de los Garza. And this is where middle class people with money live, people with decent jobs, people with decent homes. I mean, these were by no means slums. And me and Carina hit it off. Her family loved me. Every time I showed up over there, her and her sisters would cook for me. Her family would invite me to dinner. And I really liked Carina. And I could have done a lot worse than to have Carina be my girlfriend and to be with her. And she's just a very sweet, very nice girl. Very beautiful. But through Carina, I met Inez. Now, Inez, I can't even describe Inez. I mean, I was infatuated. I was crushing on this girl, Inez. Totally crushing on her. She was beauty queen material. I mean, I'm talking about every day. The way her hair was done up, the hairdo. She always had her hair done real nice. Always had a nice manicure and a pedicure. She always ran around with these stiletto sandals. She had these cute, sexy little feet. She wore these little mini skirts or these skirts down to her knees. She would show enough to be hot, but she would still be classy. You know what I'm saying? Enough to cover her up, but it still didn't leave a lot to the imagination. But this girl was beauty queen class material, and she ended up marrying the drummer from El Gran Silencio, which was a big band down there at the time. They ended up signing a record deal with Sony Records. I was at the wedding there. But before she got married, me and Inez, we had our little time. We had our little romp, and a few of them, our little, we did what we did, and we got down. We got, and she was surprised because she didn't know how freaky Americans were. And that was just from me watching a lot of, back then they didn't have a lot of internet porn. But I had a collection, of magazines and VHS tapes and shit like that, DVDs and shit like that. I was always a freak since grade school and high school. I was always a perv. So, I was always a scumbag like that, I didn't care about whipping my shit out and jerking off in the middle of a party. I was free with it. I was down with it. I was just a sick freak, scumbag. But yeah, she was too fine. And when I asked Billy about it, Billy's like, Man, you out of your mind, man. You could forget about that. You're too poor. You're too broke for a girl like that. Um, but what I did have at that time in my late teens, 18, 19, 20, was a good body, was a good swole physique. I had I had a handsome face, I had light hair, green eyes. I spoke English, which all the girls loved that. And just my charisma and my charm, you know, it was and a phenomenal line of bullshit. Um, pulling young girls or pulling young women was never an obstacle for me. That was never a thing for me. So you know, at that point, me and Billy were partying, going to this, and I don't know where we were getting money. We were pulling little capers and heists here and there, but what we did not want to do was end up in front of juez calificador. It's like a qualifying bond judge, and then they figure out if whatever you did was bad enough, where you would either do 24 to 72 hours in the lockup, or they consigned you to what was called the juez penal, the penal judge. And when you get consigned to a juez penal, you're going to either el penal de Apodaca or el penal de Topo Chico, el Cerezo. Cerezo is short for Centro de Readaptación Social, Center for Social Readaptation. And look, I've been to these Mexican jails, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Get the Gringo, but that's not too far off. I mean, a Mexican jail is a town within a town. You can buy and sell anything. You can get your hands on anything. There's inmates with guns. And if you're connected, you can get whatever you want, whenever you want. But anyways, this is what we were trying to avoid. So I'm living with Billy up in the hills in Santa Catarina, in a colonia that they called El Fomerrey. Now, Los Fomerreyes were like projects, were like what would be Section 8 here. So this was poor. They were built up into the foothills, at the foot of the mountains. They went stretched up into the mountains, ramshackle shanties, and that's at the top. At the bottom were like cement and brick houses, but this was not a place where you hung out. So me and Billy are living in Santa Catarina in a house with known wanted sicarios. Okay? And these sicarios were doing work for the Gulf Cartel. So one day we're all out in front on the front porch. Now in Mexico they have this drug called pomo. It's some kind of chemical. Maybe it's like a glue, an industrial chemical. It's called Resistol 5000. But if you put it in like a little bottle or a bag and you huff this shit, I mean, this shit fucks you up. And we were drinking caguamas, big ass quarts of Carta Blanca and Cerveza Sol. We were smoking a gang of green, a gang of bud. We were just getting our smoke on, getting our drink on. Dudes were doing their pomo. So I got a stretch. So I stand up. Now everything's locked. It's a big wrought iron gate, wrapped with a chain and a padlock. So I get up and I go look down the street both ways, left and right, just to see what's going on. And I look and I see a guy standing up against the wall with his hands like this, with the gun in his hand. Looked like like a 1911, a 45 ACP. And then I look to the other side, and there's two guys, one with an Israeli submachine Uzi, and the other with a Mossberg shotgun. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, did I just see that? Was that real? Am I hallucinating? What the fuck is going on? And then all of a sudden, the bolt cutters cut the chain. These dudes come rushing in up on the front porch, shotguns, Uzis, MP5 submachine guns. And I'm thinking, and no joke, I was scared. I was shaking and trembling. And the police down there, the Policia Ministerial del Estado, the state ministerial police, they don't wear no badges or anything. They just wear cowboy hats, cowboy boots, their big belt buckles, and their guns hanging out of their pants, or their submachine guns hanging over their shoulders. So I'm thinking, I know who these people I'm living with are. I think we're getting robbed. I don't know if there's some kilos in the house or if there's a stash in the house. So I'm thinking we're being robbed until I find out it's the police. And then I'm cool. They're finding little packets of personal weed. They don't give a shit about any of that. They're looking for the dudes we're living with. Tito, Topo, what was it? Tito, Topo, Toto, and Topo were these brothers' names. But they had managed to escape, get around the back, jump over something, and get up into the hills and hide out. So they couldn't find them. So they're asking me and Billy, what the fuck, where's your passports? Where's your papers, your visas? What the fuck are you guys doing here? Oh, we're on vacation. Bullshit. You don't come here to go to vacation. You don't come to an area like this on vacation. What are you guys really doing here? So they take us down to headquarters. They're calling the United States. They think we're wanted for, who knows, whatever, homicides, whatever. And this is back in the late 90s, in the 90s. So they get me on the phone with some agent from Texas, and they're telling me, oh, we got badass computers over here. We're going to find out who you are. And compared to the computers today, the computers back then, they're asking me for information, my mother's maiden name, all this shit. I'm not really too worried about it. I had skipped out on that possession of a stolen motor vehicle on that car theft charge out of Chicago, out of Cook County. I don't figure the Cook County Sheriff deputies are going to come to Mexico or Texas to pick me up on some bullshit like that, so I'm not worried about it. Anyways, I'm in the office with these cops for about a day and a half. Finally, I tell them, look, man, if I'm going to jail, I want to go to a cell. I want to go with real people. I want to talk to people. I just want to sit there and figure this shit out. I don't want to be sitting here talking to cops about the same old shit all day. So they're like, all right, take out your belt, your shoelaces, this and that. You're going to jail. And they start acting like they're bringing me down to the jail. And they say, nah, we're just fucking with you, man. We're just going to deport you and drive you to the border. So they reach in the file cabinet. And they tear off a big piece of newspaper. And they grab handfuls of weed out of the file cabinet. Throw it in the newspaper, wrap it up. They're like, that's for you, man, because it's going to be a long ride. I'm like, cool. I start rolling up. And I light up in the back of the police car. And they're like, güero, ¿qué chingado estás haciendo? No puedes, shit, no puedes fumar esa madre aquí. And I thought, well, I guess we're being deported. And they're like, no, man, you crazy. We're just fucking with you. We're playing with you, man. We're dropping you off where we picked you up. Take the weed, it's our bad. Take the weed. Go have a good time. Go smoke it. Go relax. Go do what you're going to do. So they dropped me off back at that house in Santa Catarina. So, Billy ends up showing up a little while later. Tito, Toto, and Topo are still hiding out in the hills. So we're in the house with their wives. And over there, you don't disrespect someone's house and try and hit on their wife. You know, and these dudes were Sicarios. They'd have killed us. You know, so we were very respectful to those women. You know, anytime they cooked something for us, you know, we were very thankful. Anything they did for us, we were very thankful. They were pretty much putting us up and taking care of us because we were friends, associates of their husbands. So, you know, now with Billy, we're going, I don't know where we're getting the money for this shit. You know, we're hitting little licks here and there, but you know, like I reminded you, I did not want to end up in El Penal de Apodaca or El Penal de Topo Chico, in either one of those prisons. So we're going to discos, house parties. We're meeting with people, you know, young people, young girls. We're having just debaucherous sex with, you know, young hotties. Meeting a lot of party people our age. And then what happens is at these clubs, these bars, these discos, these parties, you see people starting to show up with guns, you know, that are all decked out, gold guns with jewels in them. So you know who these people are. These people are somebody, because down there, those bejeweled golden guns, that's a status symbol. You know, with their white hats, their wide-brimmed Stetson hats, and their gold belt buckles, and their ostrich skin boots, and their pistols hanging out of their pants, all gold, diamonds, rubies, emeralds. You know, they got the Virgin Mary on the handle. Some have St. Jude. You know, but these are real fancy pistols, and so you know these people are someone important. So we're starting to meet some dangerous people, you know, sicarios, kidnappers, extortionists, things like that. So, and like I said, my charisma and my charm and my line of bullshit and my fake it till you make it attitude and my gift of gab can get me into any situation and get me in with any group of people. So everybody just automatically liked me. You know, I made people laugh. I was the cool dude in the room. You know, I was the American. So, you know, these people liked me. They took to me. And then I met Sandra, who was something to one of these people, one of these dangerous people. But he told me, hey, if you like her, man, you know, that's all you. So Sandra was a hottie for real, but she was underage. I mean, you couldn't look at her and tell. And, you know, before y'all start talking shit, and if you're going to leave comments saying I'm some kind of pedophile or sicko, the age of consent in Mexico is 17. In 32 states in the United States, the age of consent is 16. So I think Sandra was like 17, so I wasn't doing anything illegal. But, man, this girl was so fine. I'm serious. I still jerk off to this day at 40-something years old thinking about Sandra and Inez. But anyways, you know, we met Sandra. It was a perpetual party. The only thing is I still got to deal with Ana Delia from the mall, from Plaza La Cia, because she's like my benefactor, you know, giving me money, taking care of me. You know, I'd go to her shoe store and I'd take money right out of the cash register. She'd call me and say, you know, did you take money out of the register? I'm like 500 pesos short. And I'd be like, no, babe, I didn't touch anything. I don't know. Maybe you miscounted. So I'm still dealing with her. Now, me and Billy, remember, are dirt poor. We're making it any way we can. And we're basically living like an average Mexican, like an average poor Mexican. But it's very, very important to remember that I'm a confidence man. I'm a con man. I can weasel or con my way into any group of people or any set of circumstances. Another important thing to remember is my charisma and charm. I was a total sociopath, mixed with a little bit of maybe psychopathy. I could assimilate in any situation or fake it till I make it. But the problem therein lies that it becomes a deadly game of don't let anyone see you out of character. It's kind of like an undercover cop. Don't blow your cover. Don't let anybody see you out of character. So, you know, me and Billy were doing certain things. You know, I remember one night me and Billy went to this disco club. We had both gotten some money, and we were trying to go to this disco. And down in Mexico, they have two categories of people. Like here, you would call someone a preppy or a jock or a nerd. Down there, they either called you fresa. Fresa, the literal translation is strawberry. Fresa means you dress preppy, you come from a family with money. Or naco. Naco means from the street. You talk like you're from the street. You dress like you're from the street. You're a street urchin. So a lot of people called me El Gringo Naco. El Gringo Loco, El Güero Loco, El Güero Naco, El Gringo Naco. So we tried to go to this Fresa club. And I'm dancing with this girl, Wendy, having a good time. You know, we're ordering bottles. We had polished off 2 bottles of Hornitos tequila. So we're dancing, having a good time. We're on the way out, and my boy Billy bumps into this guy who thinks he's the shit, who thinks he's swole. You know, we're like, excuse us, you know, my bad. And they weren't trying to hear it. So the dude tells his friend, hold my beer. Like he's going to do something. As soon as he hands his friend his beer and says, hold my beer, I took about 2-3 steps back, cocked back, got my shoulder and my hips into it, and just laid into this dude. Just a haymaker. Knocked him about 3 feet, knocked him almost out the door. And I had a really nice Carhartt jacket that I brought from Chicago. Next thing I know, I got everybody in the place on me, throwing me outside in the parking lot. Here comes Billy behind me. Now, we got a crowd of Mexicans around us. I see Billy standing between 2 parked cars. He's holding on to these cars. He's trying not to go down. Because if he gets down between these 2 cars, they're going to put the boots to him and stomp him, and he's going to get hurt. So me and Billy are fighting back to back. I mean, we're bloody, but I'm not letting Billy go down. I'm not letting him fight alone. So we hear sirens and lights in the background, and everybody starts to scatter. So this dude comes screeching up in a pickup truck, and he says, jump in the back, jump in the back. And I'm like, fuck, I'm leery about jumping in the back. I don't know who these dudes are, who they're with, where they're taking us, but we got to get the fuck away from here. So we jump in the back. And, you know, the dude's yelling out the passenger window. He's like, why were they fucking you up? Why, you know, what was going on? And we were so drunk. We were like, you know, because we're Americans. And they're like, no, it's not because you were Americans. It's because you did something. You messed with somebody's girl. You messed with the wrong person. You did something. It's not because you're American. And they're like, look, here's 200 pesos. We're going to give you a ride where you're going to go. And we're going to stop, and you're going to use those 200 pesos and buy a box of beer and go chill out. And we were like, cool. So we went back to Santa Catarina to Tito, Toro, and Topo's house. And their wives fixed us up. You know, I had a cut. My eye was cut open. I had you know, my lip was cut open. And, you know, they fixed us up. And that was what happened that night at that disco scene. But the shit gets a lot deeper than that. with these people that I'm starting to associate with, going to these bars and these nightclubs and these after hours clubs. And I'm starting to be asked to do things that, you know, in the United States I wouldn't be comfortable with doing, but in Mexico I know the shit's so corrupt that it's already fixed up with the police. I mean, it's already, you know, this is just a chance for me to make extra money. So I think we're going to leave that for the next chapter. I'm going to try and keep these between a half an hour. You know, I don't want to lose anybody's attention. But it's starting to get wild down in Mexico. You know, sometimes I'm sleeping on rooftops. You know, or waking up in the morning from a party, going around with the same clothes in it, and it's hot. It is hot. It is hotter than my ball sack in southern Florida. Hot and sticky. And you're running around like that, smelling like sweat. You know, you're worried about where you're going to take a shower. But we made it. Me and Billy made it. And so I'm going to start out where the... well, you'll see what happens in the next chapter, in chapter 3. So it's gonna be a little bit more exciting, to say the least. And with that, I'll leave all my YouTube warriors to it. Just remember, if you can, hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell. That would really help me out. I'm trying to get this thing going here. I got a lot of interesting stories, about 10 years worth of just debauchery, you know, running drugs north, running guns south, running money south. There was this... all kind of scams we had, and threats against my life, and, you know, corruption with the police. I was paying off the police and judges in Nuevo Laredo. And so this is just getting started. So I hope I got you guys with me, my YouTube warriors. But anyways, I'm going to cut it short right now. I'm going to say goodnight. And I will see you guys for chapter 3. Peace.